How far have motocross bikes progressed in the last 55 years? We're jumping in our time machine today to find out the answer. This is the first ever big bore two-stroke motocross bike that Yamaha ever produced. And that is most probably the last YZ500 that we're likely to see. In this video, we're going to be riding both of them. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the history of Yamaha two-strokes. And like I said, we'll be finding out just how far dirt bikes have come in the past half century. It's no big secret that I've got a soft spot for Yamaha. My first ever motocross bike was a PW50, and I'm guessing it's the same for a lot of you watching. My first adult bike, my first full-size bike after graduating out of the youth classes in 2010 was a Yamaha YZ125, which I still own. And of course, one of the coolest projects we've ever done here on the 999 Laser channel was the Yamaha Yzilla project. So, like I say, it's no secret, I've got a soft spot for Yamaha. I'm a big fan of the blue brand. And I'm also a big fan of unearthing the interesting history of our sport. And it's a combination of those two things that has led to this video you're watching right now. I might be a big fan of Yamaha, but I actually don't know too much about their history in the sport. How did the piano guys go from keyboards and organs to podiums and checkered flags? When did they first dip their toes in the motocross world? And what was the machine that kick-started it all? And what if I could find that bike? Yamaha as a brand has a history dating back to the late 1800s. Back then they were known for producing pianos and organs. And since then, the Yamaha Corporation has become the world's largest producer of musical instruments. And the Yamaha logo still reflects that musical heritage to this day with the 3 interlocking tuning forks. Yamaha's involvement in the motorcycle world began at the end of the Second World War. At that time, the company was struggling. So the president of Yamaha decided to repurpose their wartime production facilities and start making motorcycles. And in 1954, the YA1, aka the Red Dragonfly, was released. It was a single-cylinder 125cc two-stroke, and it was essentially a copy of the German DKW RT1-M. In 1955, after the success of the Red Dragonfly, the motorcycle division split away from the parent company. And that's when the Yamaha Motor Company was formed, and that's where the two-wheeled adventure really begins. Throughout the 1960s, Yamaha began to dabble with the idea of going off-road. As far as I'm aware, the first true Yamaha motocross bike was the 1967 YX26, which actually won the All Japan Grand Prix with 22-year-old Tadao Suzuki behind the bars. But that was a full factory machine and not available to the public. However, the YX26 did massively help in the development of Yamaha's first true mass production off-road machine. The 1968 Yamaha DT1-250 was a single-cylinder two-stroke trail bike that was actually developed and put into production upon the request of a Yamaha dealer in Denver, Colorado. He had asked Yamaha to produce a machine that could sit in the rapidly growing trail and dual sports category. These guys could see that, in the US in particular, there was a potentially massive market of riders that wanted to ride both on and off-road. And so the DT1 was born. But as we can see from the pictures of the DT1, it was far from a true motocross machine, although it was lightweight and fairly potent. So with some aftermarket trickery, you could turn this into a decent competition machine. But as the 60s turned into the 70s, Yamaha were looking to truly join the burgeoning motocross fraternity, and the rumours were rife that there was an open class machine on the way. And the prayers of big bore fans were answered in 1970, when the RT1 was released. The RT1 was a 360cc single-cylinder two-stroke that was based on the DT1. Again, it was a trail bike aimed at the desert and off-road riders. But like we said, at this time, Yamaha were looking to truly break into the motocross world. And that's where things get interesting for us. In 1970, alongside the RT1, which was the Enduro trail bike, Yamaha also released this thing, the RT1-M, in a limited run of just 2,125 machines. This was the motocross ready version of the 360cc machine. Also that same year, Yamaha released the RT1-M, which was the 125cc version, and the DT1-M, which was the 250cc version. These three machines were Yamaha's first ever fully fledged motocross weapons, and this bike, the RT1-M, was Yamaha's first ever big bore motocross machine. The bike was dripping with genuine Yamaha tuning parts, and it was over-engineered by design to eliminate weak spots. It's actually arguable that this machine was ahead of its time. They changed the name of the bike in 1971 to the RT1-MX, and they changed the colour scheme as well. So the 1970 model here with the black tank and the yellow pinstripes is actually a really rare beast, a real piece of motocross history. If you watch the videos here on 999 Laser, you'll probably know just how much we enjoy hunting down these rare unicorns from motocross history. So I can't begin to explain to you guys just how happy I am to have been able to track down this machine that we have with us here today. It's the genuine thing, the real deal, a matching numbers 1970 RT1-M. Yamaha made 8,782 RT1s, but only 2,125 of the RT1-Ms, all of which were shipped to the USA. So to find an example like this in this condition here in the UK is pretty special. And the coolest thing of all is that I actually bought this machine. I now own it. So we can ride the bike to our heart's content today here at the Greenfield Dirt Track, and we can let you guys know our true thoughts on this piece of motocross history.
Upon release, the RT1-M was known as a widowmaker. It was a scary machine, the likes of which the off-road world had never really seen before. But since 1970, that widowmaker title has been passed down the generations, with bikes like the Suzuki Cyclone and the 1997 Honda CR250 more famously holding the moniker. So today we are going to find out just how scary the RT1-M really is, and whether that widowmaker title should be reinstated.
That is violent. That is evil. An evil crack.
Before we hit the track, we just need to say a big thank you to the people that make this all possible.
So our videos like this one are supported and sponsored by the awesome guys at Pusilone Motorcycle Oils. We wouldn't be able to pull the trigger on projects like this, on buying machines like this, without their support. And this is a Pusilone MX9 I've got here. The two-stroke oil, it is pre-mix, or you can put it in an auto lube system as well, like what we have got on this bike. This bike does have an auto loop system here, so no premix for the RT1-M, Sean, but it will be using MX9 in that auto loop system. So as always, guys, a huge thank you goes to Pewterline. If you are in the market for some oil, you need to restock on Essentials, check them out. I'll leave a link in the description down below to check out their website. Just go onto their website, type in your bike model into their search bar. They'll pull up all of the products they recommend you need for your machine. Once again, big thanks to Pewterline.
So it's time to ride then. Let's hit the track on the RT1-M. I'll be sharing the riding duties with our main channel test rider, Sean Smith. I'll be hitting the track first, and then I'll hand the reins over to Sean.
Okay, so this might be Yamaha's first ever motocross bike, but the goalposts of what make a motocross bike have definitely changed a lot over the years. This thing is so different to anything that I'm used to. I mean, even down to the handlebars. Oh wow, I've stalled it. So this is a set of modern Yamaha handlebars, and I've got them out just to compare to the bars on the RT1-M here, because they feel and look massively wide. But it's not that much difference. But I guess a couple of inches either side adds up to a lot, makes it feel real wide. But let's just go through some specs of the RT1-M here. So it weighed about 238 pounds. The wheelbase was 55 inches. There was 10 inches of ground clearance. It was 82 inches long, 35 inches wide, and 46 inches high. I'll put on screen some comparisons to a modern Yamaha. The displacement was actually 351 cc's. As we know, manufacturers like to round up a little bit, don't they? In terms of horsepower, the RT1-M was packing 36 ponies, which doesn't sound too much today for a big bore two-stroke, but that was 6 more horsepower than the Enduro or trail version, the RT1. So we've got a tubular double loop frame here. We've got telescopic forks at the front, and these are the genuine motocross forks because they're tapered at the top. We've got twin shocks at the back, of course. There's a 5-speed gearbox in there, and it's an auto lube system as well. Now, they did say that there was a savage kickback on the kickstart, which we're about to find out, but the reviews from back in the day said that it was a reliable machine, and it came at a price tag of $995, and it was, by all accounts, a popular open class bike back in 1970. Now, this machine has had a few modifications over the years. The guy that we bought it from road registered it, so we've got a number plate on the back, and we've got a speedo up the front here, which of course the motocross bikes back then wouldn't have had. So these are the genuine handlebars from 1970. They would have been chrome back in the day, but obviously we've lost that over the years. These shocks here are upgraded. The previous owner did that, I believe, but we do have the original shocks in the van that we can put back on if for some reason we don't think these are performing like they should. We do have those original shocks. But all in, it's a pristine example of a 360 RT1-M. And let's hit the track, shall we? Let's see how it rides. Let's see how different it is to a modern day machine. I can't feel my hands. Like, the grips are so big. And then you can't feel like you can't get to the front brake. I'm never quite sure what gear I'm in. The clutch is on or off. It's like a light switch, the clutch. You don't want to coast into corners with the clutch as well, because you'll just completely free roll, miss the turn. Power's decent though, and that crack is just evil, isn't it? It's definitely a learning curve. It's a lot different to anything we're used to, that's for sure.
Maybe for you, but don't forget
it's
the
same
vintage.
age as you, this, isn't it?
On vintage, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, and just watch your nuts.
Nah, mate, they're obsolete now.
So let's see what Sean makes of this ancient machine. Can he get to grips with the RT1-M?
Oh, some scrambling. Oh. Is he lively? Lively, man. That's the hardest thing I've ever ridden. It's honestly, to get it around the corner is just like it's fighting. Doesn't matter if it's left or right, and the bars are huge, and you would have thought it would corner real easy because it gives you plenty of leverage, but you're fighting against it all the time. But it's got some power though. Christ knows how they rode them back in the day.
Motocross was very different back in the 70s, which is why we brought the RT1 here to the Greenfield double cross track. I thought the bike might feel a bit more at home here rather than at some of our usual stomping grounds. We're also in a very privileged position to be able to compare this bike to its modern day equivalent as well. We've got the Yamaha here at the track and we're going to compare the two.
So the second bike that we have with us today is this, the Yzilla YZ500. And if you watch the channel, you might know that we built this bike using a BRC YZM 500 motor, and we started the project with a brand new YZ250 chassis. So this genuinely is a modern day YZ500. And it's most likely the last ever big bore Yamaha two-stroke that we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see a 500 two-stroke roll off the production lines in Japan anytime soon. So I feel like we are in a properly privileged position to have the last ever Yamaha big bore two-stroke and the first ever Yamaha big bore two-stroke in the same field here in Lincolnshire. What a treat. Before we get them both on track at the same time, me and Sean are just going to talk about the RT1-M and what that felt like to ride around the stubble field here at Greenfield Dirt Track. And then we'll compare the two as well and see if the RT1-M has anything for the Yzilla here.
Okay, Sean, so we've both had a ride on the RT1-M here. My butt cheeks are getting fried as we speak. That pipe is hot back there. You spun some laps, I spun some laps. What do you reckon?
It was like riding a twig. Yeah. That's how I'd describe it, because it's so, oh well, yeah, just imagine riding a twig. Everything about it it's so small, there's so much twist in the chassis. But then it was so hard to turn. I don't know if you found it hard to turn, but I found it so hard to turn. But it's got massive bars on it, which we thought, oh, this is gonna turn real easy. But it didn't, did it? You were fighting in the corner to get it to turn. The seat is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, it feels like you sat on the subframe.
Sat on the subframe, yeah, exactly what I was going to say. But apart from that, you know, that's all that out the way. The engine, I was impressed with. Yeah. You know, it's got some punch.
It's got some punch.
Yeah, it definitely has.
The gearbox was difficult, I think.
I think you missed more gears than I did.
Yeah, I've got a sore foot down on the left, and that wasn't helping. Yeah, I hit a few false neutrals on it. The clutch
Yeah,
worked.
Yeah, it does
To an extent.
Yeah, I mean, this, you know, what you got to remember is this is like, you know, well, technology back then. That's what
55
it
years
is.
ago.
Yeah,
This is alien to a modern rider, 100%. It's a different sport.
Yeah, and I would imagine that bottom end would be very much based on a road-going style engine. Do you know what I mean? And then they've made some tweaks and done whatever they can, you know, to turn it into a, you know, I won't call it a motocross bike, a scrambler. I'll call it a scrambler.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, but I don't think the Japanese in 1970 really knew what motocross was. It was a pretty new sport.
Yeah. But was it called motocross? I don't think it was. I think it's called scrambling.
Around that time was when motocross was becoming a thing. Like trail riding and dual sport and desert riding in the States was picking up massive steam. But the bikes they were using were modified road bikes.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And I think that's what that is.
It's essentially what this is, yeah. Comparing it to the Suzuki Cyclone that we rode on the channel a couple of years ago, that was in 1971, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is actually a better design than that, just simply than the fact that the pipes are up here and not underslung.
Yeah, not underslung, yeah.
The pipe is cooking me right now, but we're less likely to break this than we were on the Cyclone with those underslung pipes. Again, for a modern ride, it's so weird having the seat this far back and the tank
crazy.
There. It's a ball snatcher,
you don't want to be
it?
nipping yourself in there, do you? Jeez.
It just, again, puts in perspective to me. We did a video a few weeks ago on the channel where we got our friend Rob Hollyoak to ride his 1973 CZ 400, which looks very similar to this, against you on a modern bike. And it puts in perspective how mental Rob is, because he rode that thing so well, and we're riding it around a flat stubble cross track here, and it was difficult.
Yeah, and he was sending it over jumps at DMP. Do you know, and after getting on that, that's the first thing that entered my head is like, how on earth did Rob do what he done? Do you know, and make it look effortless as well? You know, I was like, I couldn't even turn. I was like, I was going into.
It looked so
I was just
funny
going straight.
riding it. I guess it looked funny me riding it as well, because you got like no number plate or no number board here on the front. Your arms are out like that. Just didn't look right. But
if the bars are that wide, it felt like you know what I mean. I could just pull a skid and go, hey, the farms. Do you know what I mean? They're like chopper bars.
Yeah, it's a piece of motocross history. But let's find out how far the bikes have come in 55 years. Let's do a direct comparison. This versus that. We'll do a rolling start, Sean.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can keep up with you.
Good luck.
And that'll be the final challenge for the RT1-M.
Yeah.
What a bike.
So the race between the first big bore Yamaha and the last big bore Yamaha is coming up next. But before that, I've just got one last thing to say.
So here on the channel, this is what we do. We go out and we search for interesting, rare, unique motorcycles like this one. We'll make a cool film about them, or a couple of cool films. We'll tell the story. We'll put it up against a modern bike maybe. But then we need to make space for the next project. So this bike will be up for sale at some point. We'll have to do it. We'll have to rip the plaster off, rip the band-aid off, and sell it at some point to make space for the next one. So if you're interested, if you fancy owning a piece of history like this, get in touch. Usually the best way is to drop me a message on Instagram at 999laser. I'm always checking out those messages. So yeah, if you would love an RT1-M in your collection, drop us a message. This bike will be going up for sale at some point in the future.
So we're getting ready for our race then, but we're just going to warm up with a bit of a play ride. And what a special moment it was to see these two machines on track at the same time.
Hey!
motocross bikes, how far big bore two-strokes have come in 55 years. Me and Sean are going to have a little race here. We're going to roll up to that pole, which is our starting point, and I'm going to see if I can keep up with him, or how long I can keep up with him around the lap here at Greenfields. Let's do it. Go! So you're not that far ahead yet. Oh God, that's a bumpy ride. I like it. I've forgotten how nice this is to ride. Oh man. Okay, so I don't think I stand much chance on the old RT1-M here against the formidable Wisilla. Sean is in a different zip code now, different postcode. It's only been a quarter of a lap. So yes, motocross bikes, big bore two-strokes have come a long way in 55 years. As we've just been shown in that absolute demolition job. This thing is a difficult beast to try and ride for a modern rider like me. But you know what? What a piece of history we have here. Yamaha were at the forefront of the Japanese invasion of the 1970s. That completely changed the motocross world. And this bike, this very machine I'm riding right now, was there at the very beginning of it all. How cool is that? How cool is that? Oh, she's awesome. Now Yamaha, they might no longer be in the big bore two-stroke game. I don't think we're going to be seeing any YZ500s rolling out of Japan at any point in the near future. But they are still in the two-stroke game. The YZ125 and the YZ250, the last remaining two-strokes coming out of Japan. And for that reason, I remain a big fan of the boys in blue. You've been watching 999 Lazy Guys. My name is Max. A big thanks goes to Phil and to Sean for helping me make this video, and to George at Greenfield. What an awesome place he's got here. Until next time guys, I'll see you at the track.